I want you to picture two workers. One clocks in every day at the same job for the same $7.25 an hour that his daddy might have made back in 2009, because that is exactly what the law still allows 17 years later. The other lives across the ocean, and every April 1st, without a single act of Congress, without a single campaign ad, his pay floor quietly rises again because his country built a system that does that automatically. One of those workers is an American. Tonight, I want to tell you exactly why and what it's costing families right here in Hardin County in dollars, in hours, and in time at the supper table. Y'all, we know what it's all about. So let's go.
Standing for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Built upon the shoulders of the Constitution, rule of law, and the animating principle that we are all created equal. I need to hear a hallelujah, though I'm not considered a believer by some. I still believe in the warmth of heaven come. I need the rapture I feel when my feet touch the green, green grass of home. Then I know I have reached the valley of kingdom come. And when I reach...
Welcome to the Hillbilly Think Tank with Spencer Keck. I am the educated hillbilly, and no, that's not an oxymoron. Don't call me a moron. There have been educated, erudite, and emancipated hillbillies here in Kentucky ever since my family, my kith and kin, came through the Cumberland Gap with Daniel Boone and the other long hunters on their quest to find life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness right here. And this is where they worked with hard grit and determination to keep it and to find it and to pass it on to their kids. And it's time for us to do the same for our next generation and for ourselves. I'm Spencer Keck, retired Navy doc, combat veteran, and candidate for magistrate on the Hardin County Fiscal Court, District 3.
Standing for life, liberty.
Now, let's talk about the 17-year freeze. And let's start with the plain facts because they need no exaggeration at all. The federal minimum wage last moved on July 24th, 2009. And remember, they voted on it and passed a bill for it in 2007. But it did not go into effect until July 24th, 2009. The final step of a three-step increase Congress passed back in 2007, like I was saying, from $5.15 an hour up to $7.25. That's it. That's the whole climb. 17 years now, the federal floor has sat frozen. $7.25 is what it's frozen at. The longest stretch without a single increase in the entire 88-year history of the law. And frozen doesn't mean it stayed the same value. It means it quietly shrank. Economists calculate that 7.25 today buys what about $5.10 would have bought back in 2009. Now that's a 30% pay cut, delivered not by any vote, but simply by the calendar turning while Washington looked the other way. Next segment, the country that did it differently and does it differently. So now let's cross the ocean because we just spent a whole episode this month celebrating 250 years of independence from that British crown. So let's be honest about what the old country is doing that we are not. This past April 1st, the United Kingdom's national living wage rose again, as it does every single April, to £12.71 an hour for workers 21 and up. Younger workers and apprentices get their own scaled rates beneath that. Think about that. And here's the part I want you to sit with. This isn't a miracle, and it isn't some radical scheme. It's a design choice. An independent panel called the Low Pay Commission studies wages, costs, and the economy every single year and recommends a rate aimed at keeping the wage floor around 2/3 of what the typical worker earns. The government generally accepts it, and it happens like clockwork, like a scheduled maintenance check on the whole economy, instead of a once a generation political miracle. We are not incapable of that here. We simply have not chosen it. 30 states plus the District of Columbia have gone around Washington and set their own higher floors. Some of them, like California and New York, well above $15. But the federal floor, the one that covers the rest of the country, including Kentucky, hasn't moved. That's not physics, that is a choice. Renewed every year, it doesn't get made. Next segment, the double squeeze, wages and what's eating them. Now, here's what makes it worse. And this is the part I really want working families in this country to hear, because it explains something you've probably felt without being able to name it. Even when your paycheck creeps up a little, you don't feel richer. The New York Federal Reserve surveyed employers directly and found something remarkable. Rising health insurance costs are actively suppressing wage growth. Clip that. Businesses told the Fed straight up that if their insurance costs hadn't climbed the way they have, they would have raised wages by roughly a full percentage point more than they did. The average family health insurance premiums in this country is now right around $27,000 a year. And get this, that's roughly equivalent to what a full-time worker makes in a whole year at $15 an hour. The cost of covering your family now eats an entire minimum wage plus jobs worth of value every single year before you've spent a dime on rent or groceries or yeah. And it gets worse still. Gallup found that almost a quarter of insured workers, nearly 1 in 4, now say they're staying in a job they'd otherwise leave purely to keep their health coverage. That number is up 8 points just since 2021. There's a name for that: job lock. It means the healthcare system isn't just expensive, it's become a cage. People aren't chasing better pay, better hours, or more time with their kids because they're terrified of what happens to their family's healthcare coverage if they do. Clip that. And on top of all that, wage growth itself has been slowing every single year since 2022, and is expected to slow further still. So the floor has been frozen for 17 years, and the modest raises people do get are being quietly eaten alive by healthcare costs before they ever reach that kitchen table. Now you clip that segment. Next, whose choice was this? I'm going to give it to you fair, precise, and on the record. Now, I promise you, I follow the money and the votes without fear or favor. So let's look at exactly how this froze, because it was not inevitable. Back in 2007, when Congress last raised the minimum wage, it passed the House 315 to 116, with every 82 Republican votes in favor. Genuine bipartisanship. It cannot be done, they say, but it has been done. But look at it. What's happened since? In 2019, the House passed the Raise the Wage Act 231 to 191 with only 3 Republican votes, and it never even got a vote in the Senate, which Republican leadership controlled at the time. In 2021, an attempt to raise it to $15 died in the Senate, 58 to 42, with nearly every Republican voting no, joined by a handful of Democrats. I'll give you the numbers plainly because precision is the whole point of this show. This has not been a mystery. Evenly failured, it's share value of Washington. It's been a shared value failure. Sorry. Because in recent years, one party has overwhelmingly been the one holding that door shut to increasing the minimum wage. And that's the part that stings, because that is very often the same party that will stand up on a stage and tell you with total sincerity that they are the party of family and family values, of mom staying home, of dad making a real living, of Sunday dinners and little league ball games. I believe plenty of the people who say that meant it in their hearts, but you cannot build a Norman Rockwell family. The Norman Rockwell paintings we all love with the families. You can't build that Norman Rockwell family on $7.25 an hour, working 2 jobs, terrified to change either job or you'll lose your kids' asthma medicine coverage. Values you won't fund with a vote are just words on a simple old bumper sticker, y'all. And we all know it. And yet we keep on voting these guys back in for some reason. Family values. Really? Tell me what value it is to my family if they never see me except from the hours of midnight to 6 in the morning because I'm working 2 jobs at minimum wage and mama's doing the same freaking thing. Or if one of us is working minimum wage and the others working minimum wage and we're too exhausted when we come home to do anything with the kids. You tell me about that. Tell me if that is a family value. I'd like to have someone prove to me that it is. Let's just go back now and look at how excited they were back in 2007 to raise the wage from $5.15 an hour to $7.25. And this is history.
All right, this is how it is. It is how it is. Okay, we have I'm earned about $11,000 to $12,000 a year. I work this full-time job.
$11,000 to $12,000 a year. Back then, and you remember, Republicans fought it tooth and nail, except for those 82 that came over to this side and acted in a bipartisan manner.
I hold my own fort down. My gas bill, I have to work 2 days just for the gas bill for 1 month. I have no car. I can't afford the health insurance that is offered to me through this business.
Now, she can't afford the health insurance that is offered to her through that business. Also, she said she doesn't have a car. I have met many working class, honest, good, hardworking people working in our restaurants around here that tell me they don't have a car. I gave a guy a ride last year when it was a 95-degree day, high humidity. He was all the way over at the old cemetery in Elizabethtown, you know, the one on the hill where some of my family members are buried. And he was going to walk from there all the way over into the Waffle House in our district here in District 3. That Waffle House right down there near the interstate. He was going to walk in that heat to his honest, hardworking job where he doesn't make $7.25 an hour, because you don't have to pay people that are waiters and waitresses $7.25 an hour. They're at $2.75 an hour and depend on tips. Hopefully Waffle House treats them better than that, but that's what all the law requires. And that's, you know, they live for those tips. So there you go. Remember that when you look down on somebody who's working hard at one of those places. I sure don't look down on them. I honor them.
I never eat out and look at this hair. Guess who cut it? Me. Because I don't have $12.50 to go and have a professional do it. I haven't taken a vacation in 6 years. And this is what it's going to be $40 a week for me. And that will be half the gas bill for 1 week.
Now, think about that. And that was on July 24th when members of Congress and workers from across America came together.
Is today a good news day for America's workers?
17 years ago.
Higher wages, better jobs, a new direction for America. Gathered here to observe.
Well, that new direction, how long did that last? That's what I'd like us to think about. How long did that new direction last? 17 years. We haven't had a pay raise, and our wages have gone down because $7.25 an hour in 2026, we all know it doesn't buy what it did back in 2007 and 2009. 2007 when they passed it, 2009 when it made it up to $7.25 an hour. So, all right, y'all, you know, again, we can't just get this with words on a bumper sticker. So let's look at how our own fiscal court has had a hand in this in the past. So before I point any fingers at Washington, I'll give you the same honesty about the very body that I'm asking you to let me join in the fiscal court. If you elect me to magistrate here in District 3 on January 13th, 2015, the Hardin County Fiscal Court, the seat that I'm running for, voted 8-1 to pass a local right to work ordinance banning employers from requiring workers to join a union or pay dues as a condition of employment. 9 unions, including the United Auto Workers, the UAW that is, and the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, the IBEW, sued in federal court, arguing it violated federal labor law. A district judge initially agreed and struck it down. Hardin County appealed, and in November of 2016, the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals reversed that ruling and upheld the county's authority to do it. A genuinely significant legal precedent. 2 years later, in January 2017, the Kentucky General Assembly took the whole fight statewide and made Kentucky the 27th right-to-work state in the nation on a straight party line. And if y'all haven't seen that straight party line vote, that gave us the right to work for the lowest wage that your employer wants to pay. That's what that is. That's all that is. I've lived in many right-to-work states, and everybody's fighting for that $7.25 an hour job or just barely above it. And that's a travesty. Our own fiscal court right here in Elizabethtown was the trailblazer for that fight. Now, I'm not here to relitigate the legal question. The courts settled that. But I want you to understand what right to work actually does, honestly, on both sides. Supporters call it a matter of individual liberty. Nobody should be forced to join or fund an organization as a condition of feeding their family. And that's a real, they say, legitimate value. Researchers on the other side have found that right to work laws tend to correlate with weaker union bargaining power and, on average, lower wages in the states that adopt them. And you can go look it up. The states that are right to work states like ours and all the other right to work states pay lower wages than the states that have strong unions. So here's my honest read. Whatever you think of that 2015 vote, it was one more brick in a wall that makes it harder for ordinary workers to bargain collectively for a bigger share of what they produce. At the exact time, the wage floor beneath them was already frozen solid at this 725 point. You don't have to believe unions are perfect to see how those two facts, sitting side by side, squeeze a working family from both directions at once. Now, before I go on, see, I got a couple people here shouting out to me. Don't want them to leave. So better weather. Had to lose healthcare insurance due to the increased prices this year. It's a freaking travesty. And we got, it's Abmaneha. All right, Big Red. That's right. Here I am. All right, y'all. Next segment, the safety net and who's cutting it. Now, of course, some of y'all are thinking, fine. The wage is frozen, but there's still food assistance. There's still a safety net underneath these families. Well, let's look at that honestly too, because the truth is more damning than a simple story ever is. Do the math with me. Two parents, both working full-time at $7.25 an hour. That's a combined gross income of about $30,000 a year for a family of 5. The federal eligibility for SNAP for a household that size sits far above that. So here's the uncomfortable truth. That family almost certainly would still qualify for food assistance. And that itself is the real freaking scandal, friends. When a full-time worker has workers' wages that are so low that taxpayers, us, have to step in with food assistance just so his kids can eat, you are not looking at a generous safety net. You're looking at a public subsidy for an employer who could pay a living wage and chooses not to. We, the taxpayers, are quietly picking up part of the tab for that decision. That is an American travesty. And even after that safety net has been getting trimmed, and that has been getting trimmed and trimmed and trimmed, the big Republican-backed budget bill the president signed in July of 2025 tightened the SNAP rules, expanding work requirements to cover adults up to age 64, and stripping away automatic exemptions that used to protect veterans, or in a veterans county, homeless individuals, and former foster youth from those same work requirements unless they can prove a disability. Y'all, I'm afraid people that have severe mental illness do not want to have that proven to them. Yet they are not going to be able to hold a job down. And why are we so cruel in the richest nation in the world that we're going to, say, hey, they got to starve and live on the streets? Man. So let's read that again. Veterans who used to be automatically exempted, they now have to clear the same bureaucratic hurdle as everyone else or lose those benefits after 3 months. That's not a rumor. That's the law as of this year. And on healthcare, friends, every other wealthy nation on this earth has found some ways to guarantee its working people care when they're sick without bankrupting them. Legislation to do the same here, Medicare for all, has been introduced in Congress in one form or another since 2003. Now, in recent sessions, it's carried more than 120 co-sponsors, and it has never once, not a single time, received an actual floor vote in either the House or the Senate. Not voted down, never voted on at all. It gets introduced, it gets a press conference, and it dies quietly in committee year after year, Congress after Congress. That's the same pattern that we've talked about on this show before. Real ideas with real support denied the one thing that would let the people's own representatives go on record, an actual vote in the open. Clip that. The next segment, the line. Fair is fair. Now let's give it the honest hearing, because there's a real argument here, not just a cynical one. Opponents of a steep federal increase, they make somewhat of a real point. Some conservatives argue that states and communities should be free to set their own floor based on local conditions. And there's a fair regional argument too. The cost of living in Manhattan, New York, and the cost of living in Colesburg, Kentucky are not the same number, and a single federal figure is a blunt instrument. Some conservatives will argue with you that states and communities should be free to set their own floor based on local conditions. Well, here's my answer to that, and it's a very short one. I would take the let the states and localities decide argument far more seriously if the very same political movement hadn't turned around right here in Kentucky and stripped that power away. Louisville and Lexington, our largest cities, both tried to raise their own local minimum wage. And Frankfort's legislature passed a law in 2017 making it illegal for any Kentucky city or county to do that, after our own state Supreme Court knocked the ordinances down the year before. So you cannot simultaneously tell struggling families, let your community decide, and also make it against the law for their community to decide. Pick one. The local control argument, as currently practiced in this Commonwealth, is not real. It's a joke. It's a talking point with the actual power surgically removed right there with a knife. Just cut it on out. The state legislature made the whole state a right to work for as little as your boss will pay you state in 2017 under Governor Matt Bevin. What did we do with that sucker? Oh, we kicked him out, but we didn't kick out the right to work crap. Y'all, all right, next segment, home. Bring it home to Hardin County. Let's do it honestly. So bring it home and let me be straight with you about exactly what a magistrate can and cannot do here, because I don't sell power that I do not have. Here's the hard truth. If you elect me to the Hardin County Fiscal Court, I cannot raise the minimum wage in this county. State law forbids it flatly, explicitly since 2017. I can't even require a local employer to offer paid sick leave. Can you believe that? Frankfort took that pen out of every county's hand in this Commonwealth. I won't stand here and promise you a power the office doesn't hold. But here's what a magistrate can do, and I intend to use it, and I use every bit of it. The county sets its own pay and benefits for its own employees. I can fight to make sure Hardin County itself is a model employer, not the bare legal minimum. The county awards contracts, and the fiscal court can absolutely weigh whether a contractor treats its workers decently when deciding who gets the county's business. And a magistrate has a voice, a microphone, and a relationship with the people that we send to Frankfort and to Washington. And I will use every ounce of that to tell them plainly, 17 years is long enough, and family values that don't include a livable wage and a real health care security for the family paying the bill are not values at all. They're just a slogan. So let's recap. One political party will bloviate ad nauseum about being the party of family values while never missing an opportunity to make sure the minimum wage stays just at $7.25 an hour since the last increase to the U.S. federal minimum wage took place on July 24th, 2009, when Congress raised it from $6.55 an hour to $7.25 an hour under the Fair Minimum Wage Act of 2007. Explain that to the single parent on Brown Street in E-Town working 2 jobs at $7.25 an hour who never gets enough time at home to check his kid's homework or her kid's homework, let alone take that kid fishing. One political party will bloviate ad nauseum about being the party of family values while never missing an opportunity to make sure that families cannot have SNAP benefits when they cannot feed, clothe, and house their family of 5 on $7.25 an hour with one working parent, or or 2 if both parents work that minimum wage job right here in Hardin County. One political party will bloviate ad nauseum about being the party of family values while never missing an opportunity to make sure that they will never approach voting for all working class folks to have access to universal health care like all of the other first world countries. Now, I was asked recently how I would ensure the Hardin County Fiscal Court does not start any new taxes. Now, I think the question is actually, how can we facilitate raising the national minimum salary for all folks that live in this county so that all of the expenses of living here do not overwhelm the average citizen? We must look carefully at all folks on the November ballot, from dog catcher all the way up to the U.S. senator that we're about to replace. Do not get distracted by any of their slogans, but see where they really will affect our ability to afford to live by pushing legislation that creates a larger working class capable of living life with liberty and the pursuit of happiness in a community that honors the U.S. Constitution, ethical rule of law, and the animating principle that we are all created equal. Your family value is more than $7.25 an hour. Your child is worth more than a GoFundMe to treat their cancer, because the richest nation in the world will spend $1.15 trillion to fund forever wars in the Middle East. That's how much our Pentagon's going to get next year, but won't even think about paying even $1 trillion on Medicaid for the working poor and the disabled. And y'all, you can take that to your bank. See if that check will cash. I'm pretty sure.
In the pursuit of happiness, built upon the shoulders of the Constitution.
Y'all, I am Spencer Kett, the educated hillbilly, and this has been the Hillbilly Think Tank. Come to a fiscal court meeting. Bring your hardest question, whether I earn your vote or not. We will figure that answer out and get a good one. I'll see you there. Keep thinking deeply, and remember, in Kentucky, united we stand, divided we fall isn't just words on a flag. It's the glue that holds us together. Sorry, baby. Because if we love our neighbors as ourselves and recognize that, yes, we are our brother's keeper and our sister's keeper, then we cannot be divided and we will not fall. Now, y'all, remember everyone deployed overseas, because we know they're in the thick of it and they're in the shit. Pardon my French, but really don't, because that's what they're in. Bless your corazón, which is Spanish for heart. Copycats, thanks for coming on tonight. And yes, everyone does deserve medical care. Absolutely. If y'all would like, subscribe, please share this with your friends, especially if they live in Kentucky, and definitely if they're in District 3 of Hardin County or anywhere near it. because I need your votes in November. We can make a change, but we can't do it if we don't get out there and make the change happen ourselves. Our votes count. All right, y'all, remember, up and down the ballot, dog catcher all the way up to senator, if they are not determined to make your life better and your neighbor's life better, because we all have to float together in this ocean, then don't vote for them. You know, don't be a single issue voter. Be a voter. If you're going to vote on a single issue, will it make your life and your neighbor's life better together? Y'all, hope you're having a great weekend, and I hope you got out and touched some grass and enjoyed the beauty of this wonderful state, or whichever wonderful state you're in. But here in Kentucky, it's been a beautiful green day with a little bit of mist. Bless your heart.
Standing for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, built upon the shoulders of the Constitution, rule of law, and the animating principle that we are all created equal. I need to hear a hallelujah. Though I'm not considered a believer by some, I still believe in the warmth of heaven come. I need the rapture I feel when my feet touch the green, green grass of home. Then I know I have reached the valley of kingdom come. And when I reach that valley, I need to see you there. Because we don't need a kingdom, we only need freedom. And we don't seek a king, we seek the brotherhood of man. And we won't fight for bondage, as we need no king or woman. We will stand undivided, because we will raise the fallen. Now I need to hear a hallelujah as we tear down the wall.
Good evening, Lorena. I'm sure you're watching. Hope you're having a good one.
No rapture I feel when I touch the green, green grass of home. Then I know I have reached the hollow where my ancestors roam. I have seen the dream of MLK come true. I have seen Martin's dream of justice alive and whirlwind at Thanksgiving. My family sits down to break bread together with folks of many different races, ethnicities, religions. My family sees Martin's dream, and we only judge people by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have seen the dream of MLK come true. I have trusted my life in the hands of many a black brother, a brown brother, and an immigrant brother in the military, and they have saved my life. Countless times I saw Martin's dream alive, and well, many times my destiny was tied with my brother's destiny. As we served our American dream in combat overseas, we did not care what color of skin our warrior brothers had, what adult sexual partner our warrior brothers had, or what religion they practiced or did not practice. Martin said, it must not lead us to distrust all white people from many of our white brothers. As evidenced by their presence here today, I've come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny. Tasted the bittersweet taste of freedom as I held wounded warriors of America, both in battle. And when they returned home for treatment, I knew then and I know now, freedom is not cheap, but I heard it ring loud and clear. Even after the battle smoke cleared, this made true to me what Martin said. When we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every city and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, great God Almighty, we are free at last. Oh, brothers and sisters, I have seen the dream. The dream made us so great. Why would we shut out this dream from our midst now? I was told by another leader that America is the land of opportunity, but we see these opportunities dying with our dreams. Why, America? Why would we let the dream die when we were near the top of the mountain and had the whole world wanting to be us? Brothers and sisters, it is so much better to be loved and respected. That is real power. Now, we want to be the feared bully of our own people and other nations. In the past, I heard fools say they hate us because they ain't us. Now I say the rest of the world doesn't want to be us anymore. The rest of the world thinks we have lost our mind and we are the dangerous neighbors that will rob them in their sleep. This is not Martin's dream. Oh, brothers and sisters, I have seen the dream. The dream made us so great. I have seen the dream of MLK come true. I've seen Martin's dream of justice alive and well. When at the dawn's early light, I heard freedom ring. Come all ye children, sing. We must hear freedom ring. This is my American dream. Free at last, great God Almighty. We are free at
These beans are shipped across country in refrigerated trucks. And third, they take all hand cooked and then model bush beans. In the 1950s and 60s, convenience became king, and TV did it. Soaking overnight, got laid old-fashioned means it actually works. Your great-grandfather didn't grow salad runners because they were trendy. He grew them because when the bank foreclosed on farms across the